Imagine if Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok existed in 1912. What would have happened? The whole world would be trending. Hashtag Titanic launch day. People would be posting. On the most luxurious ship in the world. Feels like a dream. But just a few hours later, everything would turn upside down. Breaking news. Titanic has hit an iceberg. Thousands trapped. Comments would flood in. Fake news. Clickbait. Where's the proof? Some people would be going live in panic, while others would already be making memes about it. And as the whole world kept scrolling through their feeds, that royal ship of the era, the one everyone called Unsinkable, would slowly disappear into the depths of the ocean and become the world's first viral tragedy. The Unsinkable hashtag. This wasn't just an ordinary cruise. It was the RMS Titanic, the largest ship in the world. White Star Line promoted it as practically unsinkable. Its first-class amenities were the ultimate symbol of luxury and comfort of that era. If this ship were launched today, it wouldn't just be a voyage. It would be a global product launch, a billion-dollar influencer campaign. On launch day, hashtag Titanic launch day would be trending worldwide. People would be posting, "On the most royal ship in the world, feels like a dream." The initial engagement would skyrocket, because behind it was a sense of pride, a bold claim that humanity had finally conquered nature through technology. But when a claim is that big, its failure spreads even faster. Titanic, being the ship that could never sink, would instantly become its first viral meme template. Echoes of grandeur and the divide of class. As the ship set sail, the digital world would split into two. One, the glittering world of first class, and the other, the silent hopes of third class. This tension alone would have gone viral even before the tragedy. First class, the verified bubble. The first-class passengers, the kind of people whose lives the whole world wanted to copy. J.J. Astor IV, one of the richest men in the world at that time, might have posted a filtered Instagram photo from his private New York apartment-style suite. Caption, "Crossing the Atlantic, no connection better than this. Hashtag Titanic luxury. Hashtag first class only." But every luxury feed has a voice of dissent. Margaret Molly Brown, a philanthropist and social activist, might have written a long Twitter thread, showcasing the ship's grandeur, yet exposing the layers of society beneath it. She would have been a true influencer with a cause. The silent resistance of third class. But below, deep in the ship's hull, a completely different story was unfolding. Most third-class passengers were immigrants traveling from Europe to America. Their posts would be raw, unfiltered, on TikTok. Imagine a shaky video by a third-class passenger. "We're just moving toward our dreams, toward America, hoping for a better life. But the first-class folks won't even let us on the upper deck." That divide between luxury and limitation would already ignite conflict in the digital world. And when the disaster struck, those TikTok feeds would reveal how first-class passengers were rescued first, while the third class was left behind. That digital documentation itself would expose the failure of the entire system. Collision of the iceberg and the algorithm. April 14th, 1912, 11:40 p.m. The Titanic strikes an iceberg. And from that moment until 2:20 a.m., only 2 hours and 40 minutes. But imagine, if all this had happened in the digital age, that time would have turned into real-time content. 2 hours and 40 minutes of digital countdown. 11:45 p.m., the first tweets start appearing. A massive jolt just hit. On third-class TikTok videos, the first sounds of water can be heard. 12:15 a.m., crew members begin preparing the lifeboats. SOS signals are being sent out. But in the digital world, lies spread faster than the truth. The flood of misinformation, faster than truth. That's exactly what happened in history. Just a few hours after the Titanic sank, news agencies, based on a wrong Telegraph report, announced that all passengers are safe. On social media, that lie would have spread like a nuclear explosion. Headlines would read, "Titanic rescued. Carpathia is towing the ship. Hashtag Titanic rescued." Research shows that false news on platforms like Twitter spread 70% faster than the truth. And that night, this lie would have turned into a deadly delay. First-class passengers, trusting the false media reports, would have waited to evacuate. As a result, many lifeboats would have left half-empty. That night, digital confusion would have stolen hundreds of lives. The birth of conspiracy. When the news broke that White Star Line's CEO, J. Bruce Ismay, had saved himself in a lifeboat while hundreds were still trapped, Digital outrage would have exploded. The internet would trend. Hashtag #IsmayJumpShip. People would make videos, write threads. This wasn't an accident, it was an hashtag insurance scam 1912. Ignoring the captain's warnings, insisting on increasing the ship's speed. All of it would only fuel the conspiracy. This storm of misinformation and conspiracies would paralyze not just the people, but the entire emergency response system. TikTok live from the sinking deck. 1:40 a.m. Now there was no doubt left. The ship had tilted. The deck's angle was so steep that walking became impossible. A third-class passenger, perhaps, takes out his phone one last time. Hands trembling, he starts a TikTok live. The cold sound of rushing water, the screams of people, and the ocean climbing up the grand staircase. The world would just keep scrolling. We'd all be watching this death live, unable to do anything. It would become history's first public tragedy, where people were dying live, and the rest of the world could only watch. The dark economy of memes. Meanwhile, the memes would start pouring in. Crisis memes, where tragedy and irony walk hand in hand. One meme would go viral, showing the Unsinkable advertisement with the caption below, "Narrator, it was not practical." These memes weren't cruel. They were a way for people to process the shock and the collapse of arrogance that came with a disaster so massive. Ida and Isidore Straus. In every digital storm, a true human story also emerges. This was the story of Ida and Isidore Straus. Isidore was the co-owner of Macy's department store. When his wife Ida was offered a seat in a lifeboat, she firmly refused. Their final message would have gone viral as an Instagram story. "We have lived our life together, and now we shall die together." The two were last seen standing on the deck, hand in hand. And in that moment, amid fear and greed, their selfless love became the truest viral trend of that night. Hashtag the real love story. Silence and legacy. 2:20 a.m. Suddenly all live feeds go dark, signals lost. In that very moment, the world realizes it's all over. After a whole night of rumors, this silence feels even more painful. 4:10 a.m., the Carpathia lifts the first lifeboat. By 9:15 a.m., 712 people have been rescued. But now, the world doesn't just have the truth. It has first class's filtered posts, third class's raw footage, and the memes filled with Ismay's shameful glance. The speed of accountability. In 1912, outrage spread slowly, but in this imagined age of social media, both evidence and anger would travel at the speed of lightning. Class divide, half-empty lifeboats, every piece of undeniable proof would be right there. The result? Both America and Britain would launch separate investigations, and they would find that the captain's negligence and the shortage of lifeboats were the main causes of this tragedy. It was that same 2-hour and 40-minute digital window, the moment when history turned its course. The Titanic sank, but its story taught the world that every claim of pride is tested only in the depths of truth. And that is the real, viral story of the so-called unsinkable ship, a tragedy that social media would have turned into the world's most powerful and echoing disaster. If this reimagined Titanic story moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts below. Your support helps us bring more forgotten moments of history back to life.